Hello, librarians. So, there are thousands of graphic novels published each year, so clearly this is a really hard thing to choose, but our graphic novels cover 2008, some slightly the end of 2007, but here's a couple that I wanted to champion for different reasons. Starting with what it is. Linda Barry. Some of you may recognize Linda Barry from alternative comics for years and years. She's published when there were alternative newspapers. What it is not a straight narrative. This is not a story. What it is, she's a writer and a cartoonist, and she wants to show you how she creates her art, and also to inspire you to create art, or your teens. This is appropriate, I would say, for YA, and in fact, YALSA, I believe, named this one of their best books of 2008. So this is teen and adult level, and I just love it. Every single page, she took old school assignments from like the 30s, and every page is a collage. It's images of octopi and monkeys and all fun things, but also really provocative questions. And if you're a fan of folk art, if you're a fan of women cartoonists, alternative comics, not just a straight superhero book, if you're a creative type or you're trying to encourage somebody that is a creative type, or if you just like cute monkeys like I do, What It Is a great book for that. Let me go to the next. Here's a picture of one of the interior pages, and I don't just like Linda Barry because she does a lot of freckle-faced redheads, of course. Some of you may know her Marvelous series. But this is like, she looks back at her like trailer park childhood a lot of times, and she is thinking in this about a childhood art contest where they picked, here's the best artists. Well, of course, she came out of this and became a great, well-known artist, but you know, she's thinking, I wish I could write, I wish I could draw, and it asks a lot of questions like that in the book. There was a little thing in Publishers Weekly, she talked about it, and on the cover it had that, what is an image, which is a provocative question itself if you really think about it. But then it has like an activity book in the back, and you can use this activity book. Like there was one question that has been haunting me since I read it, and it was like, do you remember your very first phone number? So I kept thinking about that first phone number and what it makes you think of. And so this is a great, not straight narrative, but creative graphic novel that I think everyone should own. Okay, moving to a very different graphic novel, Cairo. Cairo is written by G. Willow Wilson, who was for many, many years a journalist. So she comes out of this journalistic background, and she lived in Cairo. And this book is, again, an adult YA book. This was named a YALSA Top 10 great graphic novel for teens. So this is another great graphic novel for teens. Her artist is M.K. Perker, and so Cairo is a Vertigo publication like this. And I knew why I wanted to talk about it here, but I saw her and Perker at the New York Comic Con, and I said, I know why I'm going to discuss it, but why do you think that this is something libraries should have? And the writer said, G. Willow Wilson said, it's a backdoor into a culture that we don't hear much about except things in the news that are like Islamic fundamentalism. And this is really the fables and mythology of the culture that's really, really interesting. And she lived the culture, so it's a story that has fantasy elements. It's a modern fable. It starts with a stolen hookah. Everybody know what that is? And there's a genie, and there's 5 people, and the story is woven through the 5 people and how this genie, it changes their lives. So I think that this is an important and topical book that people should own, and if you're a fan of her writing and their art, they are collaborating on a very interesting comic right now called Air. I believe Air is starting to be compiled into trades now. It's very hard to even explain. It starts with an agoraphobic flight attendant and then goes off in every fantasy direction I can't even explain, but both are very interesting. Okay. Quickly, here's an interior if you want to just see some of the interior art, it's amazing, incredibly detailed, great black and white panels and illustrations, really great character faces. And to a different style, we go to Tonoharo. And this is actually Tonoharo Part 1. I haven't seen any sign of Part 2 coming out, but this is an artist and writer that did it together, Lars Martinsen. So he wrote and illustrated Tonoharo, and this was a book list, 2009 top 10 graphic novels. So again, well reviewed, and this is really an adult book. I would say your older teen might appreciate it, but it's really very, I think you kind of need to be, it's not for any sort of violence or language that I would put it in adult. I think it's just life experience. It's 4 panels on each page, really structured drawings. And this guy, Dan Wells, the book is about this guy, Dan Wells, who goes to Japan to teach junior high English. And when he's there, he has all of the things like a transplant would have. He's bored, he can't do conversational Japanese very well. The other Westerners that are there, that the only thing they have in common is they're Westerners, they kind of rebuff him, like shut him to the side, and then in some ways you really pull for him, but he's a sad sack, like he's, you know, dreaming about this girl and he just can't get it together with her. So Tonoharo has, one of the quotes said, the art is romanticism confronted by reality. So this is a book that I would put in an adult collection and possibly recommend to a teen. Here's one of the interior panels here, and you can see it's a cartoon style, but it's also a realistic style in much of it. And now for children's collection, Tiny Titans. This is definitely juvenile, but I buy it and read it personally, so I don't know. This is popular just because they're DC characters you know. So if you don't read comics, but you'll know Batgirl and Supergirl and Robin, they all appear in Tiny Titans, and it's just completely adorable. I think there may be 2 trades now, but in Tiny Titans, the artistic quality is excellent. The coloring, the style, it's just perfect. And it's really for visual learners, as we know everyone is now. You know, some of the studies have said that readers of comic books have better vocabulary and are more likely to read above grade level. So this is, I hate when people talk about graphic novels for reluctant readers, because they're not necessarily. So it's for visual learning and sequential art. I won't say that they don't help reluctant readers sometimes if there's a popular tie-in, but you can see here in Tiny Titans, I just love Batgirl, clearly because she was a redhead librarian. And here she is, and what they do is they take the little elements of the characters that we know, like Batgirl was known for her bat cycle. So what does she have in Tiny Titans? She has a bat tricycle. So there she is with her bat tricycle. So Tiny Titans. And then from the other big 2 publisher, if you like DC characters, you can also get Mini Marvels, which are Mini Marvels characters. In a lot of the back of the comic books, they started publishing these little Mini Marvels, and it was so popular, they've been collected. And there's only two Mini Marvels. There's Rock, Paper, Scissors is one, and one is called Secret Invasion, which is this one. And the artist of these takes the characters you know in Marvel, like the Incredible Hulk, and then he makes him into a cute little mini Marvel, and like there he is in the middle. And he does funny things, like my favorite one is Hulk's trying to get a date, so they're all giving him advice and he's all overwhelmed, and the Thing loans him a suit so he can wear, because he has nothing except ripped shorts to wear. And so then the Hulk is like, they're finally like, just make her laugh. If you make a girl laugh, then